What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and we are doing a wishlist video, and this one really isn't just a Madden 21 wishlist video. It's literally Madden franchise. You know, we obviously seen the hashtag fix Madden franchise, hashtag trending a while back, and it's awesome to see because, you know, normally people are just complaining about the gameplay. No one cares about franchise, which, you know, the gameplay is obviously there as well, but you also have in-game core things that just don't make sense. And that's what we're going to try to address here on things we'd like to see. Of course, as a human, and specifically as me, a personal human, my personal human, I don't know, dude. I'm going to miss some things. Of course, let me know in the comment section below what I missed. And if I missed that many things, we might even make a part 2 of this. But like I said, we're not going to really mention gameplay things because, honestly, there's obviously going to be things like that. There's going to be, oh, I wish there was no animations for this catch. I wish that it's pretty obvious when you have a pick, you jump in front of a pick, sometimes your guy fades back instead of jumping into the pick and taking it away, or, you know, this or that. We get it, right? There's nothing I can really say other than I hope they make the game more realistic. I hope it works. I hope there's not stupid animations. You know, the pursuit angles were bad last year. Linebackers didn't jump at all, you know, opposed to they used to lurk everything. Enough of that. You know, it's 40 seconds of make it better. That's really all I can say. But for AI, for the most part, for the AI and just other franchise UI type of deals, just things that need to be improved, there's a lot for franchise, and this is going to be all over the place because it's me once again. It's going to be bad, but there's going to be a lot of valid points here, and hopefully most people agree with me. But number one, I had to do it. I mean, we all know if we play franchise, it's got to be the number one thing in my opinion. I mean, I have a lot of things here, but yeah, I think it's the number one thing. The AI decision making has to be better. I can't even, and this is going to be kind of like almost an exposed video, especially later into the Madden cycle when, you know, our teams are better. You know, our Niners franchise got to like 90s. There was insane players. I was almost trying to let them score at times. You know, maybe blitzing a corner that has a deep blue on the edge, or a man corner, you know, in man coverage anyways, blitzing or playing a hook, trying to get someone open so it's more competitive, and the AI still will not throw it to him. We've had it naturally where, you know, our guy gets beat off the press, the guy's running down the sideline with no safety help, and the AI, and it's not a bad AI either. We had a very good example was Matt Ryan. I don't remember which franchise this was, but Matt Ryan had Julio Jones streaking wide open for 250-plus yard, maybe even touchdowns, and neither time on all Madden 100% accuracy sliders did he throw the ball. It's just the AI decision making is terrible. The sliders in general, we'll get into that kind of, but the sliders, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. I'm on all Madden, and we have the sliders so against us. The only sliders I see that actually matter are the catching, the blocking, and that's pretty much it. The coverage sliders, the reaction time sliders, I don't even know if those exist. I really don't. QB accuracy obviously does matter, but it doesn't matter for the AI. They hit their throws, but they make terrible decisions. We also need them to choose better plays. I don't want to see a 3rd and 7 run 9 times out of 10. I don't want to see a 4th and 4 field goal in the 4th quarter down 21. You know, I don't want to see them kick it deep when they're down 7 with 2 minutes remaining. I don't want to see these stupid decisions, man. They are so bad. You can't have a tough experience in Madden. Once again, I do not know if I'm just doing it wrong completely, but I don't see how people lose on all Madden. I don't. Maybe I need to go back, reset all the sliders to 50, see how that works. And if it is hard, maybe somewhere along the line we broke the game. I don't know, but we have all the sliders in their favor, and it's not even close anytime. The only way I can make it close is if I drop our pass block sliders to like 20, but insta-sacks aren't realistic. You know, it's 1.5 second sacks aren't realistic. That it's hard, but it's just not a real challenge. But let's move on because it was our biggest thing, so I'm glad we, addressed that first. We have other kind of minuscule things. You have some things that are a little more important than others. But here, I think rookie ratings in the draft need to be fixed. Not all of them. I actually think the draft is really good. Ever since they went to the randomized drafts, I mean, if you guys played Ultimate Team, don't even talk about that mode. That is the only thing they care about. If you played franchise, years past, I can't remember what Madden they implemented. Maybe it was 18 or 19, but you would literally get the same class, just in different orders. So you would get the same, like, I remember there was this guy named Hauser. He was a running back. It was like 6'2", 235, always high development trait, in super developable. There's other wide receivers, like there was this Pendergast guy way back in the day that was super fast. He was like a Randy Moss clone. You would get that same, build in the same draft, same players. Whenever they move to the randomize, I like it. However, there are a couple of abilities and archetype abilities for certain players that need to change. I think in general, agility needs to be improved pretty much across the board. Agility for most players is terrible. Stamina for most players is terrible. Toughness is, terrible. You can't upgrade stamina or toughness, so why would they start so low on like 90% of players? Also, the biggest one, and I've been saying it for years now, where is the elusiveness and juke move for these fast slot guys? I will say some of the higher end first round picks do have, mid 80s, and you can upgrade that, but I want to see a guy that has high speed with decent agility with like 90 juke move out the gate. Like, you can't have these in-game rookies not reflecting the real-life players, the real-life rookies who have those higher ratings, who technically haven't played a snap in the NFL either. Now, for something a little less big, I think upgrading is a little too slow without boosting the sliders. I think what they need to do is add a few more points. I think I do like the randomized ability of it, because as much as it doesn't make sense, because, if you're trying to build your team as a possession team, you shouldn't have to upgrade certain things. I do think that the game will get abused if you can go back to the upgrading ways. Back in the day, you could just go for the devs, hold all that XP because they're a lower overall, and then mass upgrade at the end and basically turn any player into a 99 within 3 years. But they definitely need to add something to it. If I'm going to go for Route Runner, I shouldn't get like 1 medium and 2 short for a whole upgrade point that might take me 2 to 3 weeks to get, I think either they need to make it where you get more XP for certain milestones, or they need to add more upgrades so you get a chance at, plus 1 to 3 in like almost every receiving stat, while it's more focused on the thing. So you'll get a release for route run, because route running is release, but you get that maybe like a plus 1 to release, and then like plus 2 to short, 3 to medium, 1 to deep or something, rather than the simple plus 2 to medium, 1 to short or something really bad like that. Or obviously for the offensive lineman, I kind of went into it a little bit later. I think offensive linemen should have less terminology, or they need to add more to defensive players. It's a little unfair that offensive linemen, A, they don't even have scenarios in the game, but B, they have to upgrade power, finesse, regular run block, regular pass block, impact, strength, and awareness, whereas a defender, it's either power move, finesse move, or block shedding. You're going to have a disproportionate amount of defenders that are better than O-linemen, because O-linemen, you might get a plus 2 finesse, 1 awareness upgrade, where a defender will get a plus 2 to power, plus 1 to awareness, plus 1 to tackle, this, and this. I think it's a little unbalanced specifically for offensive linemen. I think right now, though, the upgrading is pretty good. Maybe, like I said, add a little more points to each upgrade, or make it a little less challenging to get it, because obviously upgrading is the most fun part, and right now it doesn't feel like you're being rewarded. I also think when the game started, the breakout scenarios seemed pretty fair. It seemed pretty balanced. There wasn't a crazy amount of breakouts, but ever since mid-year they added the X Factor breakout scenario, the moment that update implemented, I don't know if there's any truthful, if it just feels that way, or if there's an actual fact to it, but it feels like the breakouts were flying off the board once they had that update. They definitely need to make it less common, I think, during the season. We also do, ironic, it's me saying we need less dev-ups. We do need a quarterback dev-up. I think there should never be a dev-up in season that goes from Superstar to X Factor, but a normal rookie who's had, several games in a row being really good, maybe get a chance to star. And then offensive linemen definitely need some sort of dev up, whether it's through the regular season or after for like the award system. But that leads me to less breakout scenarios. You shouldn't have a guy that, hasn't really had a good year and then he breaks out with like 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. They shouldn't get a breakout from that. I think it should be a little more consistency, maybe 3 to 4 games where they're playing, really well or something crazy like that. Or there's like a huge matchup. You're like 6-0, another team 6-0, and it should be tougher to get. I get it because you got to think you can't dev down. They took that out, which is smart. I think it was good because it just didn't work and it was just too hard to implement in my opinion. So it shouldn't be so easy to go up when there's 0 chance to go down. So they definitely need to do something there. I'm not exactly sure, but obviously I also don't get paid, good money to think of ideas all year round. I'm also sorry for whatever random gameplay you have to see in behind this video. There's no structure to that at all. But, just something to watch while you're mainly listening. This is something you should be listening to while playing a game or doing something, in my opinion. Or, if you're like, I'm not watching the video at all. But another thing that ties into that, very simple, should have been there in the beginning. You should be able to add whatever abilities or take away whatever abilities you want in your league. So you should be able to turn off Jukebox, you should be able to turn off Escape Artist, Enforcer, or not even just talking about that, which is huge. I think you should be able to turn those, toggle those things on and off. Why can't we edit our players' abilities themselves straight from, the coach mode? You can change their height, their age, their development itself, their entire ratings. You can make them a 0 or a 99 overall, but you can't change their abilities. The only way to do that is to actually change to a player and then, change the ratings from there. But of course, that's a lot of hassle. And more importantly, if you're a coach already, you lose pretty much all the XP, all the progress you had, the legacy score, all that good stuff. And obviously in a user league, that'd be really ugly. Where it should only be like a commissioner thing, maybe. But it should, it's very simple. Those 2 things need to be added, in my opinion. It's without a doubt. It's very simple. Just do it already. Also, a little secondary thing, talking about these awards and whatnot. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but for me personally, I don't like the way the MVP system goes, the voting goes. I think maybe it'd be cool to have a commissioner or, the admins of the league be able to actually vote on MVP. Of course, this would be something you could turn on or off, but it'd be cool to be able to vote on who should be MVP as they do in the real world, and you can override the in-game system. We've had it a lot of times where Madden really just values the yards and stats for the most part, and they don't care too much about the turnovers. We had it where a guy had 30-plus turnovers and won MVP just because his touchdowns and yards were higher, whereas, maybe the next guy was just slightly less in yards and touchdowns, but gave up the ball 10, 15 times less. I think a voting system for MVP would not only be more interactive and cool, but it would also probably be more accurate most of the time. Now we're going to be a little bit quicker, probably a little more rapid fire, because some of these are contract style things. But I think you should be able to sign your own rookies. Obviously, it wouldn't be as simple as, I don't know how to sign a rookie. I don't know what they're owed. But it should have the fair offer and what you want to sign them to. Obviously, up to the limit and then below the limit. I shouldn't be forced to give a 7th round player a bonus if I don't want them. Because, you don't even always sign your 7th round players. In the NFL, you could just get rid of them. You could release them. Not everyone makes the roster just because they were drafted. I think you should be able to pay more or less, maybe front load the contract. Obviously that adds to another thing. The actual contracts themselves, everything is pretty much backloaded. You should be able to guarantee the money in the beginning for a guy that might be a little younger now, but obviously when that regression period hits, you don't want to be stuck with them. And of course, compensatory picks. I don't know how that's not in the game. If you lose a very high overall player that everyone bid wars on, especially, maybe in an online league, how are you not getting any picks for this? You should be getting a 3rd round pick, technically 4th round pick, if you're getting rid of a 90+ overall player for nothing because you can't afford them, but someone else pays them like 20 mil per year to be, their starter, their all-time beast. How are you not getting anything for it? It makes literally no sense, and that's something you can't do yourself. A lot of these, some of these things, they're annoying, and, it's kind of time consuming, but you can work around them. This you just can't, especially for an online league. You can't just create picks out of nowhere. So why is there no compensatory picks? That one, I will admit, would be a little bit tougher. So maybe in the future type of thing, but it should definitely be on the radar without a doubt. Also, restructuring contracts, guys that are not playing as well as they were or they're regressed. You shouldn't be stuck with their contract just because of that, especially if the guaranteed money's gone. Rather than just release them, say, hey, buddy, it's either release or, restructure. Also, this kind of fits with the game thinking that, all outside linebackers are pass rushers. But how come we still have outside linebackers who are coverage getting paid as a pass rusher? We should not be seeing, if you guys watched our, Titans franchise, which, please do, which actually will be coming out a little bit later today. Why are we seeing, actually it might have already come out, but why are we seeing guys like my Gilbert getting paid like $22 million per year just because he's a fast, good outside linebacker? He's not a pass rusher. He's coverage. There's the different positions. A receiving running back isn't a wide receiver. The wide receiver who's all-time in the league based might get paid $20 million per year because he's the best in the league, but the running back isn't because he's very easily replaced. I'm not saying coverage linebackers are easy to replace, but we all know a good pass rusher is getting paid more than a coverage linebacker every day of the week. They shouldn't be making the same NFL holdouts where, guys are just getting lowball offers or they're stuck on a contract that's terrible while they're killing it in the league. That one's something that, is kind of detrimental to the player, but it makes for a more realistic experience. That's just something in the future. It's not a must-need thing right now, so it is what it is. Also, more scenarios, maybe a demanding of a trade where you've just let a guy on your team who's good. We've done it in rebuilds. We've done it in different scenarios, sitting back up when they're the better player or they're just a starter not getting their time, kind of like a Stephon Diggs kind of situation, and they demand a trade. You have a scenario where if you don't trade them or you don't hit a certain yardage mark, their morale drops hard. And I'm talking like they lose speed, they lose receiving stats, they go down quite a bit because they're just not interested. More scenarios like that are very realistic things. Like we said, like or kind of like a holdout situation where they're not happy with their contract, they might not play, simple stuff like that. For me personally, I don't really care too much about the whole coaching carousel thing, but a lot of people do. So I just think that just add more to the coaching experience in general. Any sort of thing where you can have a skill tree, where there's more goals for a coach, more things to do, rather than you're choosing coach just so you can play as the whole team. You want a distinction kind of between owner and coach. Right now, owner seems more rewarding and more fun than coach because you at least have more options. But it would be cool to have more individuality at the coaching position, be able to hire your own, offensive and defensive coordinators, completely change around the team, and not just that, but more things like where if you're a good coach at drafting, you get a bonus for those coaches or for that specific thing. So if I'm really good at drafting second round players, my second round draft picks get an XP boost, or we hired a good offensive coordinator who likes to run stretch plays. We get a little blocking boost on stretch plays. Something like that I think would be cool and be more in depth. It's not huge for me, but it is for some people, and we do want to get as many more dynamic and more interactive things into the game as possible. Also, they have another new addition we could have to Madden. They have this, I believe, in NBA. I think I did it in a rebuild. I think I did a Bucks rebuild. That was the last rebuild I ever did on this channel, was a Bucks rebuild. I believe there was an off-season thing where you could choose like maybe 5 guys, was it, to do training stuff in the off-season to either bulk up to play a different position or just work on passing or whatnot. It would be cool to see that in Madden 21. Maybe not in 21, but just Madden in general, maybe a future thing where, we always talk about it, where we're going to make the argument that this safety gained 15 pounds and moved to linebacker. They should have it where you can actually do that, where they do bulk up. They lose maybe 2 to 3 speed, but they gain maybe 10 block shed to play linebacker, or we've got a lot of guys in the game at D-line that are 278, which is a really weird weight. We can make it where they can try to lose 20 pounds, become a true edge guy, gain some finesse and some speed, lose some, strength or whatnot. Or they gain a couple pounds, 20 pounds, and go to 300 and play DT. Get more strength, become slower, and become the DT role. You can obviously get more depth with it, but it would be cool to have these more interactive things for all aspects of the game, off-season, regular season, playoffs, all that good stuff. Also, speaking of, it would be nice to see the awards get extended. There's no tight end award at this point. Also, you have linebacker being shared with coverage and pass rush, another situation where the game can't differentiate between those two things, which very simple. Add an award for tight end and maybe add a linebacker coverage award. I don't know, something with that. Not a huge thing. Should add that tight end award though, but it would be very simple, I would assume. But speaking of that, how come the game can't differentiate between those positions? How come a pass rushing linebacker is the same as a coverage linebacker in EA's eyes? We have so many teams, AI teams at least, that have these guys playing the wrong position. We have pass rushing linebackers playing in a 4-3, a 4-3 coverage linebacker playing in a 3-4 pass rush. It's just, and the worst part about it is half the time the stats don't even reflect properly. We'll see, a coverage linebacker with over 100 tackles and, playing well, gets a dev up because he's apparently a good coverage linebacker, or, a guy that has like 70 finesse. We've seen it a lot of times, 70 to 75 finesse move, playing the edge role, getting 10 plus sacks in a season, which I didn't actually write this down, but now speaking of that, how come the sim stats are so bad? You got guys like Lamar Jackson who can't even get over like 500 rushing yards, and if I'm not mistaken, that was actually an in-game update from Madden 20 where they try to make it more likeness-wise, which it did improve, but it still wasn't great. You have mobile guys that just aren't having good rushing seasons at all. Like, we've got guys having Rodgers seasons, 200, 300 rushing yards when they're in the high 80s for, speed, and their archetype is scrambler. Like, you're not a scrambler if you've got 200, 300 rushing yards. That's just average stuff. Like, it's just not good. I want to see defensive ends, maybe not every time, but I don't think if you have injuries off, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, all the good names, Von Miller, even a Za'Darius Smith. I know I'm a Packers fan putting it, but he was really good last year, okay? He was really good. All the good players, maybe even over a 90 overall, should be having under 10 sacks in a season. If you're playing 1,000 downs, it's just so bad, and it's even worse for the AI-generated players where they just almost never have a chance. It's just, they are very bad sim players. So differentiate the different positions, specifically for, coverage to pass rushing linebacker. Same for defensive ends. We shouldn't be having, a 3-4 end playing on the edge. It shouldn't be some big 300-pounder playing in a 4-3 at right end or something like that. Very simple stuff, I would imagine. And maybe even go as far to have a power back playing in that power back system. Wide receivers that are big in a team scheme that does like to run the ball rather than all 5'10", 5'11" running back receivers in a power-heavy scheme. It should make more sense, simply put. And now that's pretty much it for the main things that I think are must-needed things to be changed into the game. Now for some things that I think should be added in the very near, but also fair enough distant future. I think we should have it where I've been talking about it for a while now. They should have in-game franchise being able to play on the same team as a player. It would be, I know it's a little bit tougher than a game like NBA, but hell, they should have it on NBA as well. They kind of do with, my career, but they should have it where you could play QB, wide receiver, and running back on the same team as a player lock. I don't know how many people would play this, but I can't imagine it being that tough. You already have the team play mechanics with Superstar KO and Ultimate Team. Just add it for a special mode in franchise. It'd be cool to have a 32-man league where, let's say, you had 3 players per team, on each side of the ball. Obviously, maybe not each side of the ball, but 3 players on each team going against another team with 3 players on each team. I don't know how many players you would limit. Maybe do it where you could have up to 4 on each team. So you could have 2 offensive, 2 defensive, or 3 offensive, 1 defensive, because it would make no sense. Maybe just make it 6 on each side. It's a little bit tough, like I said. Maybe make it where it's a 50-player mode. Like, it shouldn't be. Why is the player limit, locked to 32 in Madden just because there's 32 teams? I wouldn't say maybe go up to 200 players on a franchise, but I think the game can handle 6v6, right? It should be able to handle 6v6. Maybe all 32 teams. I don't know. Maybe at least enough for 10. Give it a little chance to see if people actually play it. But I would love to see a team play in the actual franchise setting. Which does kind of bring us onto the topic of the yard. You guys have probably seen the leaked image at this point, which I believe there is a very good chance that it is similar to FIFA's Pro Clubs, which if you ever played that, it's actually a lot of fun. There is a broken meta to that game, which I would assume would probably translate to Madden. There's a lot of broken things in pretty much all sports games. I wouldn't say it's as far as EA just being bad at making games. As far as sports games are tough to stop the meta, because there's less you can do. There's a lot of in-game things. If you think about the way NFL is set up, where you only need 10 yards. In the NFL, teams aren't as willing to risk it all because there's a lot on the line. But in Madden, there's not a lot on the line. You lose the game, you move on with your life. But in the NFL, obviously, you lose the game, and it could spiral out to you lose your entire career. But it's not very hard to stop a team from getting 10 yards in 4 plays. So stopping metas and broken things is already tough enough the way it is. I know I'm defending EA here, Jesus. But the yard, if it is like Pro Clubs, like we said, it would, it's going to be kind of cool. I think there might actually be some potential to it. But they should have it set up similar to the cribs thing in 2K5, where you get accolades and trophies and whatnot based on the things you've done. There needs to be more rewards in the games for something like Superstar KO or this yard thing. I don't know if it would all translate to something for Ultimate Team, but it would be cool to have. I don't know. There probably will be achievements tied to it, but it would be cool to have a crib that you can invite people to. Maybe even play little in-game mini games like air hockey or like ping pong or something, or have a basketball hoop. GTA added basketball. It wasn't great, but they have tennis, they have, basketball, they have golf. Why can't Madden do it? Like, you don't have to have licensed names to play golf, mini golf or something like that in the game, or, a little basketball hoop, or even like a claw machine, an arcade in your house based on certain accolades. It would be sick as hell, would it not? Like, imagine, like, score 10,000, maybe not points, but like, get 5,000 yards in your career, and you get like a currency to upgrade your house to have different layouts, different colors and whatnot. Or, like I said, the inside, you have an arcade type thing with different machines, and, you have air hockey and all that good stuff, which kind of brings me to maybe, if not in the yard, in franchise, have it like where the face of the franchise is a storyline just like that, but you get a real salary, you can upgrade your house, have your trophies like your Heisman, your MVP, whatever it is, in your crib, dynamic stats that, change each week that could, I don't know, add some sort of trophy system based on what you do. It'd be cool to have, which, talking about those stats, my final thing, which is a super, super ambitious thing, which I don't know if I'd even want. I don't know if it would even work, and it'd probably be very tough to implement. But maybe have the complete overhaul of the stat system in Madden, where it's dynamic based on player-to-player, week-to-week performances. It would be very tough to implement. Like I said, I don't know how they would do it. Maybe one time in the future, 5-10 years from now, they will. But you know how in the regular NFL season, if a player plays really badly or they have a bad couple of games, the ratings adjusters will change that rating because, it's not reflective of how they're playing. Maybe have some sort of system in-game. Of course, a lot of things that are performance-based are pretty broken, but maybe have it where in-game, that's how it goes. Instead of old quarterbacks retiring at a certain age, it is all based on, how well they play. Once again, that could lead to a broken thing where, every quarterback plays to their 50 plus, but just something to think about. Anyways, that's my Madden 21 wish list, technically Madden future wish list. If I missed anything, or you think I didn't explain something well enough and you wanted to elaborate what they could add additionally to it, let me know in the comment section below. This is, I think, a pretty well thought out list, in obviously probably after this video, because once again, we're all only human. I'll probably think of some other things. I might even pin them on the comment section. I think we hit most of the important things. But like I said, let me know in the comment section below. Regardless, though, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys come back for next video. But until next video, maybe even a stream tonight, see ya!